Just hello to Corinne Allan from Kapiti Neuro and the fantastic online course Raising Sensational Children. Welcome, Corinne. It's so lovely to have you on the ARC Education NZ, and we're really, really excited to have you on the directory and in our resource pages. Welcome, and
thank you very much.
I'm very
happy to be here. I'm very happy to connect with you. I thank you for all your support, and I think you're doing amazing work for so many parents and educators out there to coordinate the help. So it's just so much easier for people to go and find the work. My clients certainly love your website, and I have noticed some of my friends are on now too. So yeah, thank you very much for all your work you do. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Corinne. It's always wonderful to get great feedback. I'd love to know a little bit about you as a person and your qualifications and a little bit about your background. That would be fantastic for us to find out.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Corinne Allan. I work as an independent therapist here on the Kapiti coast. I'm registered as an art therapist with Ansakate and as well a supervisor through Ansakate. Maybe you can hear it from my dialect. I'm originally from Europe. I grew up in Switzerland, and I have studied facility management, which in Switzerland, that's a degree where you learn to manage a facility. So there's a lot of team processes, team motivation, conflict management, budgeting, like work with the villages, and so it's a degree where you have 2 years of psychology, and then you go into behavioral therapy, and then you go, I had element of organization as well. And we have lots of hygiene and other elements in that degree as well. And you usually work in a hospital or in a place where people are, and you try to improve the services for those people or the communication with parents or with the government funding. So it's something, I don't think it exists in New Zealand, but it provided me with those basic knowledge, and I really enjoyed it. I generally love to work with people. This is always something I really enjoy. And over the years, the last 20 years, I have done many, many different studies. My dog is barking, I'm so sorry. So I studied neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, energy healing techniques, a lot of color psychology, which mainly came through my studies and my case studies. And as well, I'm a neurographic specialist, which neurographic is how we can connect with our own neuro wave and how can we connect with the unconscious mind. And yeah, it just generally things which interesting me, and I have a huge belief that we as humans have the potential to heal and heal from past events, from childhood trauma. I've done a lot of trauma recovery over the last 10 years, especially with young children, emotional trauma. And I really, as more as I learn about the brain and the heart and the nervous system and the body and meridians and vagus nerve and everything, as more I realize the potential we have if we are allowing ourselves to go on this journey of healing. And yeah, I am a mother as well of 3 children, and I find 15 years ago, I was really frustrated when I felt my children needed help with sensory integration, and I felt there was not much there. And then I traveled Australia, Europe, and came back and said, gosh, if our children here would have those opportunities. And from that experience over many years, I started to build Kapiti art therapy. We had that for 5 years. And in 2020, we opened Kapiti Neurotherapy with our brand new sensory room, sensory integration.
Which
And
are amazing.
it's really coming out of the passion, which I think I really believe the right help at the right time can really make so many positive changes, or coordinating the help people need, that it's not a little bit here and there, it's coordinated and it's tailored, that it leads to an individual learning plan or other things which really benefit young children, teenagers and adults.
Yes.
So that's, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot more other things, workshops, promoting, but that's kind of the core, really psychology and studying nervous system and neuroscience, and all of that, I feel gives me a good little
very strong background
to help people the best way I can.
Yes.
And I'm really passionate about my work. I really love it, and I love the positive feedbacks from parents and teachers when we can understand the language of behaving, and we can ask ourselves what is the reason for that behaving, and provide either a sensory calming space or provide more physical breaks or more support, how those children just start to blossom. And that is just a real gift.
Yes, it's a pity that your work can't be accessed within schools. You know, your work would be absolutely amazing within various schools.
Well, I think we came a long way the last 15 years. If I look at New South Wales, Australia, there's almost in every school art therapist and sensory integration. And I think if schools see our sensory room and see how easy it is to set up, I really think that will happen. It's just early days. But I think school will see, if we provide that sensory input on a daily basis, how much less teacher aides we need and how much less time with behavioral challenges we will have. It's early days, but it will happen, and this is one of my dreams too.
Absolutely, which aligns with what the ARC Education NZ is, our vision, perfectly. So that's one of the exciting aspects of having fantastic practitioners like yourself on board. Corinne,
we have sorry, I mean, I've just been, the neurotherapy has only been now 3 years old, and in those 3 years, every year I provided 4 courses for how to set up a sensory room and the therapeutic benefits of a sensory room. And we have between Lower Hutt, Wellington and the Kapiti Coast already 6 schools which have their own sensory room. So that is, you know, that is really a fantastic team effort from teachers, special needs teacher, and as well principal, which could use some of the COVID funding and other things. So, you know, and I hold on to those positive movements.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was SENCO at a couple of colleges here in the Wellington area, and I actually set up 2 sensory rooms.
Oh, fantastic.
So, and a lot of the motivation and inspiration actually came from you, because I visited your sensory room and was absolutely inspired and thought this could be perfect for any school and any child.
And that's the beautiful part of it, because we have children with ADD, Asperger, dyslexia, dyscalculia, autism, different range of children of the spectrum, anger management, children which parents break up or other emotional stress. And one is in the swing and one plays and one lets off a bit steam. But all of that can happen in a loving and safe space.
Yes, exactly. And a stimulating but calming space as well, an engaging space rather than stimulating, I guess. Corinne, could you tell us a little bit about your amazing new online course, Raising Sensational Children? Because I think that's a fantastic resource for actually both parents and teachers who are interested in working with children who, and more children are coming through the system who have these emotional and psychological needs. Yes.
Yeah, so over the last few years, which I really provided a huge amount of art therapy, mainly for emotional healing and improving fine motor skills, cross motor skills, and our sensory room where we calm down the brain and the nervous system, or we stimulate. And often through that work and talking to parents, there was a lack, and that was emotional regulation. How do I teach my child emotional self-regulation? So parents want their children to have self-control, but self-control without self-regulation is not possible. So unfortunately, we live in a culture where we don't show our children how to grieve, or we don't show our children how we deal positively with anger. Everything we learn about anger is almost wrong. Anger is a really positive emotion. It helps us to make healthy boundaries. But if the anger comes and destroys things in the outside world, or destroys ourselves, then it becomes a problem. And anger always comes from hurt. They're just different level. If the hurt is so big that it goes into rage, it just happens many things over time. So how do we do that? How do we connect a child which is constantly avoiding, or constantly in fight and flight mood, or is physical aggressive? How do we do that? We need to first calm the child down. We need to create space for the child where the child wants to engage with us. How do we do that? Through fun, through giving the child, each time it comes, a positive experience. We go, oh, I made some stress balls, and I could paint with my hands, and I could go into a sensory sock, or I could experience smells and touch. And then through that, the child starts to have trust, and it trusts first you as a therapist, but then, of course, it's always about self-trust. And as soon as a person starts to believe in themselves and starts to focus on their gifts rather than their imperfection, I mean, rather than go, oh, I have dyslexia, dyscalculia, go, oh, I didn't know what's amazing in art. I didn't know what's amazing with music, or with sport, or an amazing friend. And we nurture those gifts, and we help them to overcome the challenges. First, they have to accept it. They have to come to a point of acceptance. To hold a pencil is really difficult, and we help them with rock crayons, and then we build it up over time. And emotional regulation can be learned. Every child can learn emotional self-regulation, but we need to first have a look, where are the sensitivity in the area of sensory integration? Is it sound, touch? What causes the everyday stress? We have sensory-friendly clothes, we have sensory-friendly toothbrushes, we have so many things to help those children. And then strengthen the senses through sensory play, and give the child more and more good tools which work to deal with challenging situation. Out of that comes confidence. Out of that comes the approach to try something out of the comfort zone. And then, rather than eliminating every social situation and therefore not having a learning field, they engage and they learn, and you will see in a short amount of time what this self-empowerment can do for a child. but they need help. They sometimes have completely shut down because they're so overwhelmed and they're literally scared. They see the world as a frightening place, which is
Yeah.
too noisy, too busy, and they demand what they can deliver when what's demanded from them is just too much on a daily basis.
And so the course, you're teaching people to deal with this and to connect with the kids. And
the course is an online tool because I can't see everybody. So the parents can do the online course. Module 1 is how to calm down the central nervous system. We talked there about the natural Ritalin, establishing sleep, making sure there's enough water, the really basic foundation, how to calm down the central nervous system. The natural Ritalin is done here in New Zealand. It's gone through the medical trial and the foundation of that. And then we have the next module is touch, sound, sensitivity, and then comes sensitivity, oral sensitivity, gustatory sensitivity, and then balance, posture, and body awareness.
Fantastic.
So parents can only go, oh, I have a little hurricane, I take the module about body awareness, or I have a child which is each time it gets clothes on, it cries, I just buy the module of touch sensitivity, or they can have all 4 modules. So the modules are built, you understand how, if a child is like a little hurricane, that the vestibular system is underdeveloped and what a balance board or a little trampoline can do, or you understand if they struggle with fine motor skill, that the gross and cross motor skills need to be first established before that. But rather than you as a parent saying, I can't access any therapist, the school doesn't have any help, we are waiting 2 years for diagnostic, and I want to empower you. If you understand what your child needs, you become an advocate for your child, and you're raising a confident, happy child which will succeed academically and socially in their own way. We all different in our own time and in our own way. But it's important to be happy. If we are happy, we engage. And if we are engaged, we learn. And it doesn't matter on the end of your life if you run through life or you walk through life. What matters is that you develop and you have...
You learn.
You learn, yeah. And you maybe only learn 1 or 2 things and you really succeed, or maybe you're all rounder. We're all different.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like an amazing resource, and people can access
the course is Raising Sensational Children. So if you Google Raising Sensational Children, the platform comes up. You have,
and it's also on the Art Education on the resource page. Under health and well-being, and also specialist.
Fantastic. So you can get all 4 modules and pay for each module, or you can buy the overall course. The overall course is cheaper. You get 15 videos, lifelong access. You get PDFs. You can call me for extra support. You have a discount code for sensory material, discount code for the natural Ritalin. All videos belong to you. You can use them in the classroom. And you have 20 CPD credits, like that's 2 years of professional developments. And you can watch the videos at any time. So it's, you can literally...
all in your own time, and you can watch them over and over again.
If you have a child and you go, oh, today we had tears about eating dinner, I just watched that video and work on that. Oh, my child can't tie the shoelaces, I just watch that video and work on that. And you can do then at home your own sensory diet, and you can contact me if you need any more support. And the videos are so much fun. What I did was, over the last 10 years, those things which my clients loved the most, and I could see, over and over again it worked. That's what we put in the course.
Fantastic.
It's you learn how to make sensory bottles and stress balls and a sensory cave, and you have so many resources which you really will, if you calm down the central nervous system, you establish sleep, water, and the natural Ritalin, you will see how focus and concentration increases. And then you can help specifically where the help is needed. You maybe don't need everything, but then you can as well use it in the classrooms or a daycare or other places.
Fantastic. Yes. So it's not just for parents. It's fantastic professional development for teachers and of all ages and stages. Yes.
I had an occupational therapist. I mean, she's an amazing lady and amazingly trained, but she just said, you know, I'm trained in sensory profile or in diagnostic or in statistic, but how to actually work one-on-one with the child and actually make the child to engage. So through play, it really strengthens the senses and comes out with, oh, look what I just done, with a positive confidence level. That needs to happen through the right intervention. And it doesn't really matter if you're 5 or 12, it just matters that you train your senses. You still will have sensory processing disorder. It is what it is, but you can cope. And it's not that you mask and your anxiety goes through the roof because you're masking to fit in and you actually feel every day overloaded. That's not what we want. That's not fear on any young person.
Anyone, no.
And we have a lot of adults which are, as adults, realize they're actually high functioning autistic, and so this is why I never managed to cope with that, and they didn't knew that.
So yes, you can probably we can probably all do with a little bit of consciousness there around who we are as well as parents. Often children of children who are autistic or on the spectrum of neurodiversity, more often than not, one or both their parents are as well. So it'll be beneficial for everyone.
It can happen, like I had as a child, or still today, dyslexia. It was never picked up in the 80s, and I studied languages and studied words, and I understood it. I just had, when I recalled it, it's always the same two letters being swapped around, and I never understood, and I got frustrated and hard with myself and very self-conscious. And when I then learned that through the helping my own children, I was like, and it allowed me to be more honest and more open about that.
Your own struggles.
It took me a long time to overcome that and to not try to hide it or other things. But the brain is amazing. If you context as something, like if we have in the left side of the brain reading, writing, fine motor skills, language development, and so much more, if we strengthen the right side of the brain through colors and art and creative thinking, actually the brain balances itself out. So you still have those things, but you have trained your fine motor skills, or trained your recall or your focus or your concentration. And I see children which are diagnosed with ADD and actually have visual processing disorder. Or I see children which are diagnosed with ADD and actually high functioning autism, and the intervention are completely wrong for what we offer. I think anger management and social interaction has become a focus. And I certainly do a lot of work in those areas to help children to release the sadness, the anger, frustration. I still can't do it. Help them to learn it. And then they go, oh, I'm
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
amazing
free.
to hear from teachers and parents the changes which those children do in a relatively short amount of time. Yeah.
I'm sure anybody watching this, I myself as a teacher, can think of 4 or 5 students that I would highly recommend your services for. So,
yeah, and it frustrates me sometimes because every principal goes, oh, I have no funding, but then they have so many teacher aides. Not to say they're not needed. Of course they're needed because the needs are more complex. But if we actually would have a sensory room with 2 or 3 staff and those children could go on a daily basis for a half an hour, and you would see how they could focus and concentrate and how they would improve and not be 2 years later still on stage 1 with reading or something. And that, of course, that causes frustration with children, parents, teacher, and anybody around. And so I think, like I used to, when my husband came home, we left the dishes and the washing and everything. And every night we sat down half an hour and we did ball games or other things to train motor skills or balance board. And for them, there was just, oh, mommy and daddy play with me. And it was the highlight of the day. So I had once upon a time an occupational therapist, which empowered me. And it made all the differences in my family to go on this journey and allow myself to learn. And those parents which have done it, it's mind-blowing. I had yesterday a child which 45 minutes focused and concentrated on his art. And it was steadily, he had to build things and really focus. And the teacher says he can't sit down for 5 minutes. And here he was fully engaged with building his car and reading the plan. And, of course, I had to figure out he's a little bit a tech freak. That's what was his thing. Another one loves to just want to make kinetic sand or want to do other things. But I always build up the basic skills and then go through a program, and everything they do, they take home. And so I showed it my teacher, showed it my friends. And a little girl came around and she said, my friends came to my bedroom and they all said my art was amazing. So, like
that's lovely.
It's like, how cool is that?
That is very cool.
Because it's not me, the therapist, which gives the solution. The child does it itself. And therefore they take the skills into life and they really learn skills.
Fantastic. Corinne, I could talk to you all day, but time is precious. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Oh, thank you.
And if anybody wants to get hold of you, you are in the directory on the ARC Education NZ with all the contact details, as well as in the resource pages. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for all your work and all the parents and teachers out there. If you need any support, please feel free to send me email. I will do my very best to guide you through either things we can offer or if we can't help, to reach out to other ones in the area. Awesome. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me today and giving me this opportunity to talk a little bit about my work and my passion.
Wonderful. Thank you, Corinne.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
All the best. See you.